For decades, you've heard the stories, right? A huge, totally silent, black triangle just hanging in the sky, then zipping off at impossible speeds. Is it alien tech? Well, according to the source material we're looking at today, the answer is a hard no. They're ours. This is allegedly the TR-3B Astra, the flagship of a top-secret American space program. And right now, we're going to conduct a full forensic audit of what could be the most classified machine ever built.
And this quote? This is where it all really kicks off. This is from Ben Rich, the guy who ran Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works, the architects of the stealth fighter. The source material claims that near his deathbed, he wasn't just dropping hints about some fancy new engines. He was basically confessing that his company had already figured out the physics of getting to the stars.
Okay, so here's how we're going to break this audit down. 4 key briefings. First, we're going to pull back the curtain on the architects of this machine. Second, we'll get into the weeds on the physics of its engine. Third, and this is a big one, we'll examine the math that supposedly proves it's human-made. And finally, we'll dig into its deeply classified and, frankly, disturbing true mission. So first things first, who built this thing? The sources allege it wasn't just one company, but a massive, powerful, and incredibly compartmentalized syndicate, a shadow network that operates completely off the books.
Now, this is where the technological family tree gets pretty startling. The sources claim the core physics didn't start in some lab in Nevada, but in Nazi Germany, with a secret project called Die Glocke. That's the bell. At the end of the war, its head scientist, Hans Kammler, was supposedly snatched up by the US under Operation Paperclip, and he brought the secrets of this torsion field physics with him. That research was then allegedly perfected over decades, and the result? The TR-3B.
You don't build a machine like this in secret without a whole network of players. The sources lay it out like this. Lockheed Skunk Works, they built the body, the airframe. Northrop Grumman, the same folks who built the B-2 stealth bomber, they handled the crazy propulsion system. Raytheon and BAE Systems, they're the specialists in neural networks, so they developed the avionics and the radical fly-by-thought interface. And the Department of Energy, they provided the juice, a compact nuclear reactor to power the whole shebang.
Okay. So how do you pay for all this? According to the source, it all comes from the black budget. And this slide zeroes in on a really key moment, September 10, 2001. The day before 9/11, when Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld went on TV and admitted the Pentagon could not track $2.3 trillion. The allegation here is that this wasn't just some accounting error, it was the slush fund for the secret space program.
All right, Section 2, the space-time engine. Let's get into the heart of this machine, the actual physics that allegedly lets a craft the size of an aircraft carrier just float.
Now, the key thing to understand is that the TR-3B does not have an engine in any way we understand it. It has what the sources call a magnetic field disruptor, or MFD. This isn't about pushing air. This is brute force physics. It's basically a massive particle accelerator designed to create a smudge in the very fabric of space-time itself.
And just look at these numbers. They really show you the violent industrial reality of this engine. We're talking about a plasma made from mercury, supercooled to minus 150 Celsius, while at the same time being pressurized to 250,000 times the air pressure you're feeling right now. That is literally like the pressure near the center of the Earth. And then it's spun by superconductors to an absolutely insane 60,000 RPM.
So let's just walk through how you fire this thing up. First, that onboard nuke generates gigawatts of raw power. That power floods into superconducting coils, creating this incredibly powerful rotating magnetic field. The field then literally grabs onto that super-dense mercury plasma and whips it into a vortex at unbelievable speeds. And the result of all that spinning, charged mass is a torsion field, a localized bubble where gravity just stops working right.
Okay, now we get to what the source material claims is the single most important clue. The piece of evidence that proves this craft was built by human hands.
Why 89%? Why such a specific, kind of clunky number? According to whistleblower testimony, that 89% is the mathematical fingerprint of human imitation. Think about it. 100% mass reduction, that's perfect, elegant, almost divine technology. But 89%? That feels messy. That's the signature of brilliant engineers copying something they don't fully understand, pushing it to the absolute breaking point and getting close, but not quite there. It's a number that smells like trial and error.
And here's why that 89% is such a game changer. It all goes back to high school physics. Force equals mass times acceleration, right? Well, if you can magically slash a 100-ton aircraft's effective mass down to just 11 tons, you suddenly need only a tiny fraction of the force to make it move. This is how the TR-3B can supposedly just hover silently or make those instant right-angle turns that would literally rip a normal jet to pieces. The physics, it actually works.
But wait, that MFD only reduces the mass. It doesn't actually push the craft forward. So how does it move that last 11%? Well, it's a hybrid drive. The craft uses 3 silent magnetohydrodynamic, or MHD, thrusters, one in each corner. These things take the massive electrical power from the reactor, turn the surrounding air into plasma, and then shoot it out electromagnetically. No moving parts, and the crucial part, it's almost completely silent.
So that brings us to our final and maybe most important section. If this craft is real, what is it actually for? The designation TR officially stands for Tactical Reconnaissance, but the sources claim that's just a cover story for a much, much darker purpose.
So yeah, let's just reframe that question. We need to stop thinking about this as a simple spy plane and start considering the possibility of a weapon of mass psychological influence.
And what's really fascinating is the claim that this brute force engine is just too chaotic and unstable for an AI to control. It needs the gut feeling, the intuition of a human crew. And they don't fly it with a joystick. The pilot straps on a Neuralink helmet, has to get into a state of extreme mental focus, and simply visualizes the maneuver. The craft's computer then translates that thought directly into commands, a true fly-by-thought system.
And this, allegedly, is the crew's real job. They're not just taking pictures. They are mapping the consciousness of entire populations, literally reading the emotional energy of a city. The MFD can supposedly be tuned to broadcast certain low-frequency waves to influence the mood of everyone below. And its most classified function? Distorting local time, creating these little bubbles where covert operations can happen completely outside of our normal reality.
So, to just wrap up what the source material is claiming, the TR-3B isn't some alien mystery ship. It's presented as a human-built weapon, the end result of a very dark technological bloodline, paid for by trillions of dollars that just went missing and designed for the ultimate purpose of control, not of airspace, but of consciousness itself.
And that brings us to the final, really unsettling question that the source material leaves you with. If this massive, silent triangle that people are seeing all over the world, if that's the first generation of this technology, built way back in the 1980s, what in the world have they been building in all the decades since?